Twin Flame beloved, I'm so excited that you're here because it means that you are ready for some Twin Flame love codes returning back to you after maybe a separation, a painful heartbreak, or just being stuck after a long time. I know I've been there. I was in a twin flame portal waiting for 5 years, not sure what was going to happen, and I was obsessed every day doing the work, working with coaches, making a lot of movement in my meditations. And I'm going to share some of the ways that you know that you've done the work and that your twin flame runner is actually returning. So these are the 3 signs of twin flame runner return. First of all, it's not always easy to be in sacred union. So I want to remind you that it takes work. It's not for the faint of heart. And one of the most challenging parts of the journey is when the runner is actually coming back. We think that it's going to be, oh, my prince is coming to my tower. It's going to be this beautiful reunion. And actually, sometimes it's really painful because it shines all this light on the wounds that were caused, not necessarily from the other person, but that were maybe triggered by the other person in the first phase of the union. So the first phase is twin flame recognition. You come together, and actually I'd say before that there's deep healing that goes on within yourself. But basically you've gotten to the point where the rainbows and butterflies honeymoon phase is over, and you've been in a painful separation. And so even though you might both be wanting to come back together or having hopes for a rekindling or at least making peace with each other and seeing what happens next, there's still pain there. And so I just want to honor you and encourage you to accept the pain, facing the pain. More you can show up, grow up, and just be like, it's okay, I'm not afraid. Because that's what really the separation phase is about, is being able to have our pain and triggers come up and to be independent and be able to handle them without leaning on somebody else. By the way, I'm Dr. Amanda Noelle. I'm the founder of Aphrodite University. I'm a twin flame alchemist, and I have a PhD in transpersonal counseling, and I certify people in our love leadership programs as well as helping single spiritual women to attract and manifest their life partner. I do that privately as well as in our group programs. So many times on the twin flame journey, one person, often the runner, may pull away due to fear or anxiety. But we can also look at it like this. Even though I was in the situation, for example, where my so-called twin flame, he actually was a twin flame mirror of the moment. He was a twin flame counterfeit, I would say. But someone I truly believed at the time was my twin flame, and he had a lot of the qualities that I wanted in a partnership at the time. But anyways, when he ran, I was actually mirroring my own self-hatred onto the situation. I was projecting my fear, my shame. The same thing happened to me as well with my true twin flame, or the man that I'm with now, my husband. I call my twin flame because I do believe we are twin flames. And there's no scientific way. If anybody tells you, here's the litmus test for twin flames. We had a couple come and contact us maybe like 8 years ago, and they were like, hey, we see your channel on twin flames. We're twin flames too. We want to meet you. And I ended up connecting with her briefly on a Skype call. And then she unfriended me afterwards, saying that she had $1 million idea. She wanted to share it with me, but then she didn't share it. She unfriended me from all the platforms. And now they're getting sued because they have this big twin flame school that they've created, and they're getting a lot of flack because they've overpromised and they've told people they know who their true twin flame is, and they're the gurus and they're the reincarnations of, well, he's not the Christ, but he's the Christ and she's not. And I guess I don't want to go into gossip, but what was really interesting is, I tangent here a little bit, but during our twin flame reunion, we'd already had our separation. We came back in our reunion. This couple was like, you guys aren't real twin flames and you're a bunch of BS. And they were like trolls on our channel, which I was like, is that really how twin flames behave? Like, aren't we supposed to be coming from love and light and supporting the mission? And like, so I bring that up because a lot of people during separation or at some point in your union will project their garbage onto you. And it's so important not to have those echoes of our own self-hatred do anything but make us stronger. And so if you are in a twin flame separation, you might be getting a lot of projection from family members, jealous sisters, or angry ancestors who are dead from past generations that are projecting that you can't have what they didn't have. So anyways, I digress, but many times on this twin flame journey, both people are pulling away out of this fear, and it's not real, but it feels real. So sometimes they do come back, and I just helped a client get married to her twin flame, and they were in a separation for almost 2 years. So the return may feel overwhelming by the intensity of the connection and fear of losing control. And I like how we have like double font on there, the twin flame energy. So there's always the mirror there, right? It can feel like, do we even want this? Is this even our real twin flame, or is this even really what we want? And that's going to happen probably with any relationship. If you get intimate, triggers will come up, patterns will come up. And so we have to accept the loss of control. We have to accept these uncomfortable emotions. The big mistake a lot of people make is like, this is too hard. This is way too much drama. And it is kind of true. Like, I think Matt Kahn says, the real thing about twin flames is it's a horrible, dysfunctional, like dramatic relationship, and what's better is finding a soulmate. And I don't agree with that personally, but I do agree that twin flame unions are require us to face our deepest failure, our deepest SHIT, that we have to face our deepest intensity, not necessarily in that relationship. Sometimes it could be before we meet our twin flame. For me, my two relationships before I met my partner was the biggest initiation of my life. And I would say that previous partner was an amazing catalyst for me to really love myself, step into my power, and let go of a lot of stuff. And it was my initiation phase on my twin flame path. Even though that ended up not quote unquote working out, it did work out for the best. And those same fears came up in my current relationship, with my husband, before we got married, and things were kind of all over the place. And there was all this fear that he would leave me, and he was fearing that he couldn't stay, and it wasn't easy. So the return when he came back was intense because the love was really intense. We looked into each other's eyes. We're like, oh shit, I love you so much. Like, it's really hard to stay in this, but it's really hard to leave. And that can be a very common pain. It's almost like, I don't want to be on this earth, but I have to be on this earth because I signed up for this, and I don't want to leave because I don't want to disappoint. It's that same kind of feeling. Like, shoot, why did I sign up for this? So stay with it. 3 things that might help when your twin flame runner returns after the separation. Number 1, take time to reflect on the relationship. Separation from this person can often bring up intense emotions and issues in ourselves that need to be addressed to make any relationship in the future work, but definitely this one. Do your meditation, get your support, work with a therapist, a guide, a twin flame alchemist like myself. It's a huge opportunity to do this healing work. Your pain has been dredged out of an ancient place within your soul so that you could do this work, so that you could know yourself, so that you could know God, Goddess, so that you could be truly in alignment with who you are versus living in a suppressed pain reality where you're bottling up old energies from the past, from your childhood, from even your ancestors. There's so much deep in the well of your soul, but if we don't dredge these old toxins, then we are not living fully. We're not loving fully. So do the work and address it, and the relationship will work. Whether it's this partnership or the next partnership or the next round, addressing it within yourself will pave the way to the road of success and twin flame union. Being patient, reuniting with your twin flame after a separation can be a delicate process. It brings up a lot of wounding, a lot of vulnerability. It's almost like a psychic surgery has happened. Don't just get out there and run 1,000,000 miles per hour. If you tore your ACL, rehabilitate, be gentle, take time, go slow, don't force anything. I know one of the things that was a big mistake, but that it's a tendency that I've often had, is to rush things. Oftentimes when I was insecure of being abandoned, that's one of the number 1 wounds. It is the core wound of the feminine, is fear of abandonment. So I was terrified of men leaving me. It was my father wound, and I have a video about the father wounds that I released in the last 2 weeks that you can check out. I'll see if I can link it below if I remember. But anyways, reuniting with your twin flame after separation is such such a delicate space, and our auras are reconfiguring. Our thought patterns are being repatterned. And I had these deep-seated fears of being left, and that was constantly a loop in my mind because I never fully got the communication from my father that he loved me and that he wasn't going to leave me. Even though he was very present, he was not emotionally communicative or expressive. And it left me with a scar, and it was not his fault. It was that his father had not spoken to him. He had not much time with his father in his life. And so I was raised by a fatherless father who was trying his best, but I had such harrowing self-esteem issues. I became a workaholic, successaholic, was top student in my class, went to a top university, top everything, trying to lose weight, trying to be pretty, trying to be, top leadership council and elite sports and everything. And really deep down, I was running from my vulnerable feminine energy. So this is where the twin flame separation can lead us, is in our most vulnerable, delicate space where we feel like no one in the world can love us. And this is a perfect moment where we can shine that love onto ourselves, and we can be the parent and repattern those places where we have never been at peace within ourselves, and we've been puzzle pieces lost and scattered. We can puzzle piece ourselves together and say, you belong here. I'm here for you. I'm holding you. I've got you. No one else has to do this. If anybody leaves you or abandons you again, I'm not doing that. And that's the level of love I felt within my soul. And that was so strong with me. And I was almost using my husband when he left for a week and was like, we need to figure things out. Not that I didn't love him fully and respect him. We had our pause with a phone call before we went into a week-long pause. We said, I love you no matter what happens. I promise that I'll always love you, and that we'll do our best to figure this out and get to the truth. And that's what we did. And the truth was where we are at now, which is married and with our beautiful daughter and living in Bali in our beautiful home. And at the time, it was completely unknown. It was just blind. And so we went into this window with, I love you, but we don't know what's going to happen. And so I used that opportunity as like, if he doesn't love me, and I'm almost a little pissed off at him for not showing up and wanting to be with me, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to like super duper promise to this wounded part in me that she never has to be abandoned again, because I will be here. And it got me like so badass in my self-love, like the charge that I had where I was like, I've been counting on you and I'm done counting on you. I'm counting on me. And then when he walked through the door, he flew back from Austin, Texas to San Diego, and we looked in each other's eyes. The recognition was there. It's like, oh, so strong. And also like we both were super confused and overwhelmed. And so we had this moment, and then we went and sat down on the couch, and we made new agreements that I wanted to get back together. He wanted to take 3 months off and just live together, but just process every day. And so we navigated it as like, or he wanted 1 month to just think about it, and I wanted 1 month to think about it. He wanted 3 months, so we made it 2. So we did a great job communicating and compromising, but it was very, very delicate. It was very tender, and he recognized how I had zipped up my love for myself. I was like, I'm guarding this heart a little bit, but I'm not leaving my heart, and we'll see if you can have it. But it was also like this really sweet, like, I fucking love myself. I'm sorry, but like whatever you do, like I'm loving me now. And he was like, what? Like, you honor yourself that much? And it stepped up the energy in our relationship. He thought it was so hot. I could tell he was almost like jealous. He's like, what have you been doing the last week? Like, who is this woman? He's like, whoa, what are your secrets? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you, buddy. Like, I had to work on my stuff. You left me abandoned, and you better work your way back in. So even though he had been the runner, which always was something I had to face in any relationship, and luckily in this case, he did come back, that I had to show myself that I wasn't running. 3B, open and honest communication is key, and I'm going to be doing a video all about communication for twin flame relationships in an upcoming video, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Communication is key in any relationship, but especially in the twin flame union. So be open and honest about your partner with your partner about everything, your feelings, your expectations, your mood, your past history, whatever you're going through in your head, and encourage them to do the same. The point isn't to just like dump on them or dramatize, but to just be really clear. And this can be done with simple languaging. It can be done very concisely and clearly. It doesn't have to be emoting and like dredging up all this drama, but it can be said very clearly. When you did this, when you said this, when this happened, I felt insecurity come up in me. I felt actually kind of shy, or I felt closed off, or I felt hurt. So share your feelings. Share your expectations. I expect in my life, I want to have children, and that's something that I've always wanted, and I need to be really clear and expressive with you about that, because if you're not on that same path, then we might need to take different directions. Also encouraging them to do the same. Hey, what do you think about this? Where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a tiny home with me? Do you want to go travel? Do you want to build a business with me? How do you feel about me? A lot of people are doing these oracle cards about their twin flame, and I do that too. I do it with everything. I'm obsessed, like any girl in the spiritual community, with oracle cards and tarot and readings. I think they're wonderful tools, but a lot of times people are resorting to these readings in a very disempowered way instead of talking to their partners, talking as an adult, sharing feelings and seeing and testing them. Are they really there for you? Can they really show up in the way that you're showing up in your level of consciousness, communication? This is a conscious relationship. A twin flame is a conscious relationship. It's not some unconscious fantasy in the sky. It's deeply grounded, rooted leaders, two leaders who are lovers, who are grounded in all their chakras together, all the way up to the spiritual world, healing and whole, and also like they can talk about what's going on. So this seems so obvious, but we miss it sometimes. We're in the return. It's important to give our twin flame runner that time to process their emotions and thoughts. So giving them that freedom, that space, letting them know that will help them feel safe. When my runner husband, then runner, told me he needed this week, I was like, I get it. I totally understand. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do what you need for yourself to get clear. And I see it as an opportunity, a window to connect with myself deeper. And I hope we come back with much more clarity and calm so that we can work this out together. So it was like freeing for him. He was like, thank God, she's letting me, she's permitting me to find myself so I don't have to compromise. And then when I gave him that permission, he could breathe all of a sudden. And he said it was really hard. He stayed in Austin by himself for a week with a couple of friends there to support him. But he said, like, wow, I really appreciated that space you gave me. It gave me time to connect with people. It gave me time to feel with my pain and realize how lucky I am to have you, how much I missed you. But if I hadn't given him permission, he wouldn't have gotten the value of that, which he then brought back home. So rushing or pushing them, bombarding them with messages or phone calls, we got to figure this out. We got to fix this. I'm scared right now. I'm trying to force this. I need this right now. Forcing them to come back actually usually pushes them away even further. And it can be a really tricky test because sometimes we give them space and they don't come back, but we have to accept that. We have to accept that possibility and trust that there will be something better for us. That happened to me. I was pushing, rushing, bombarding my twin flame counterfeit a lot for actually multiple years. Like, come on, like I'm in town, let's do this. And sometimes he would call me and then he would visit and it would stir up all this pain and we would go back into our dynamic, and it was very unhealthy for, I think, both of us. And I would have this pattern of like, I got to sit on my hands. And I couldn't help it. Sometimes I'd have the love addiction would just channel through me, and I would message him, and every time it would push him away. The more I would try and craft the perfect text message or win him over, the more he would push away. And the very end of the relationship, I can't even remember. There were like 10 different ends of the relationship. But the one that like I think really kind of turned me off was when he was like, all right, I'm this great guy. I'm going to just close out our relationship lovingly. And I'm going to send you your things that you left last time you stayed here. We ended on a bad note, but I just want you to know I care. And he sent me the two things. One was a hat that then had rotted and had like maggots in it. I was like, I don't remember my hat having that in it. It was really gross. And then the other thing was a pair of pants, like women's pants that were not mine. And I was like, wow, this is really a sign from the universe. Like, I have a fantasy about this person and like, look what I'm receiving. So it's pretty hilarious now. But at the time it was like, oh my gosh, he's sleeping around with different women and can't get the pants straight. Then that brings us to the difference is when I didn't try and force my man to come back. It gave him this like open space, this clarity, and he really had this like warm light, this Christ force energy that was just like, it came open because I gave him the space. If I tried to force it, I think it would have blown out the candle. I would have been like, are you coming back? Let's figure this out. Let's talk. Let's do therapy. So instead, what I did was I focused on healing myself. And this is what I encourage my clients to do. That works like clockwork every time when they focus on healing themselves. And they have these massive breakthroughs. The things in their lives mirror that up level in healing. The person comes back, or another person steps in, or other amazing things come in the interim, like new amazing business opportunities. I've had clients that they go from being a workaholic to finding ways to set up their businesses like miraculously. They're like, wow, I'm healing myself, and I had this idea to just like hire this other person, and like I manifested this system, and now I'm working like 80% less hours, and I'm traveling, and I bought a home here, and living on the beach in Florida. And I love seeing the miracles that happen when we heal ourselves, whether it's our twin flame coming back or a whole twin flame lifestyle that's wrapping around mirroring our inner healing and peace. So take that time, sisters. Start your hobby that you've been waiting to start, reconnect with your old friends, connect with that person that you see online that maybe you went to college with that posted something interesting. I don't know, just do something different. Start a new spiritual practice. You will want to stay positive because you'll create positive, loving space through which you'll attract your twin flame back to you. And sometimes it's fun because you might up level so much that you have two people coming at you or more. And you're like, gosh, I thought this was my twin flame. Now I think this one might be. And then there's this other thing. And you have a bouquet of bliss from which to choose in the whole old paradigm of this person has to come back, or I don't even want to be on this planet. I failed. Like, it's just done. And by the way, if your twin flame runner returns, it's crucial to communicate openly and honestly. Again, I can't highlight this enough, but about your feelings and your hopes for the relationship. So you're seeding the future. It's like, okay, we learned from the past, but what are we doing here? So it's the time to almost like crack out a business plan. I did this with my husband. We created, it was sort of like wedding vows, but we weren't getting married yet, but we were like, here's what we need for a living space. And he was very specific, and I got very specific. He's like, I don't like loud sounds at night. I'm very quiet, very meditative at night. And you come crashing in with your electric toothbrush by the bathroom. We had like an open air bathroom that connected to the ensuite bathroom or whatever. And he said, look, like, if you want to stay up later than me, that's fine. But like in our relationship, I cannot wake up every night to your electric toothbrush. It's like, it drives me nuts. And then like, literally is one of those things that just pecks away at me. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Like, you would complain about it when I would do it, and I would try not to do it, and I would forget. But it was like, duh, we have like 3 bathrooms. I'll put the toothbrush in the next guest suite bathroom so that I can hang out in there, have some alone time. And then I set up the whole bathroom, and it became my little goddess sanctuary for nighttime skin cleansing routine. It was like my little spa. And then I would go sneak into bed. So it's so great. Now we go to bed at the same time. We're like so boring. Now we go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night and do our little maybe sexy time practice. And then we get up at 6 a.m., 6:30 and have our morning practices side by side. He's often on the balcony. I'm inside, or sometimes we'll go in different rooms. But we're definitely synced up now. But it's funny, at the time, there were all these things that we wrote down, and needs changed. Things have evolved, but at the same time, we are committed to finding those things that work. So communicating about what are our needs, our feelings, our hopes for the relationship. Lastly, set those clear boundaries. Like, no, this is my sacred no. And that will prevent the old patterns from surfacing. So learn from the past. This didn't work for me. I can't be with someone who screams at me all the time. So I need to ask you to lower your voice, and we can use nonviolent communication. We can take a course on conscious communication. We can apply these tools that I'm using in my program. In our communication phase in our Twin Flame Alchemy formula, we have like a book about conscious communication, because it's the thing that saves our clients. It's the thing that saved our relationship, and it makes our relationship better every day. So communication is key, and finding the patterns, preventing them with boundaries, with systems and structures, having those deep conversations. And it can feel like a board meeting, like you and your partner, like, let's hash this out. Treat your relationship as carefully as you treat your business, and as sacredly as you treat your church or temple space, and you'll be so happy. Thank you for following me. Please subscribe to support the channel. I just did a 30-day challenge from the full moon to the full moon. So thank you for being here. I know it was not, for me, I can say this last 30-day challenge has been amazing. It's recommitted me to my purpose, my passion. I love this. I love you. I love the energy. It's, I came into it with really just the intention to revamp my vibration, my energy, re-clarify it. There's been so much that has happened in the last few years with losing my father and buying a home in Bali, and really sort of disconnecting from our grounded life in the US and becoming parents. And I just felt like I just needed some time to go within, and I had a good 6 months taking time off the channel. I also have noticed, to be honest, that we would create the same content, the same quality of content, my husband and I, and the views were getting so low. We're like, what's going on with the algorithm? Come on, YouTube, be nice to us. And in some ways it's like, wow, we used to publish videos and there'd always be like 3,000 views every time. And I've done videos like every day working hard. And it's like, I see it differently now. I see each one of you as a sacred soul, that we're connecting, we're doing this together, we're team. And I'm just so honored. So I just want to cap up this 30-day video challenge. This is the last one of this week. So I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you for being on this ride, for supporting, and for learning, growing, and loving. You are so worthy. Practice these three tools, whatever you call them. Your twin flame runner return will be so much better than mine was, especially the false one, and hopefully be as good as the twin flame return, where he actually came back and we ended up getting re-engaged, getting married, everything finally working out after a little drama. It was so worth it. So I'm sure it will be for you too, however it flies. Blessings, love, and light. Have yourself a beautiful night or day. Bye-bye. Namaste. Namasko.